that's the Swiss Chard Rolls that I'm making, and I'm covering them up with this plate once I put the tomato juice in it. Bon Jovi, the Crush Tour, got top of the stack, and I've just compared it. We haven't returned this yet. Sarah McLachlan, Fumbling Towards Ecstasy. Then All Man, the International Male Story. And then Gaia. Or Gia. Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, I can't remember.
Oh,
watch
there
it. So, anyway, I gave Bit Rot top of the stack against Everywhere is Anywhere is Anything is Everything, and Generation A got bottom of the stack. So it's funny because oh, I should mention I brought these out to show this is what went into the Swiss Chard Rolls, and that's James's dinner for today. And what also went in are these things. So this is, I forgot to harvest one of these. This is a little golden berry. And well, I forgot to harvest a lot of the green ones. You can see there's a lot of green ones on that. And that's just one plant, and it's a monster of a plant. Very big one. It was, anyway, I'll set that there. And I'm going to pull this out a bit because I got it a little bit too close. There we go.
Got to get everything in there, eh?
I guess so. So anyway, it took a very long time for me to harvest the golden berries, and I was reviewing them earlier this year and saying, well, I don't even know why I'd bother to grow them again, because the fruit is so small. It's really not very tasty. It's solanum's related to tomato and golden berry, known as Cape gooseberry, and tomatillos, which look sort of like golden berries. But golden berries actually taste good, and they look much prettier. And I grew so fond of growing those that I kept bringing them back into the house in the fall and then back out, and they got monstrous. They got to be taller than the ceiling, really, because they had to bend over when I brought them in to fit them in the house. Got so big. And finally, one fall, I just decided I'm not going to bring them in because it's such hard work. Anyway, they were huge. So, but at the same time, I was thinking... The emphasis
is on hard and not work, because you'd have to see how big they were.
They were
Pauline mistaking it easy on her back.
Yeah, even with the rolly cart thing that I have, it's still a lot of work getting them up onto it and wheeling them in. Anyway, and so I gave up. But I saw these and I thought, well, they might be something like, no, they are not. They are the color of goldenberry. They're not as big, and they don't have that pretty little paper thing on the outside like the goldenberries do. And they, and like tomatillos have. And they taste like, kind of like a tomato, only more boring. They're not even as good as it. Well, they're better than some of the tomato varieties we tried. We tried green grape tomatoes. Not good. Not a good tomato at all. I don't know why anyone would grow those. So they're better tasting than that. But anyway, so a lot of work.
They do look nice growing. They're kind of tiny.
Yeah, because there's a lot of fruit on them. Mm-hmm. But it's just so much work collecting them that unless you're going to plant it right beside, like if we had it in a big pot here, then we could sit and eat a few while we're eating dinner and we wouldn't notice, right? That it takes a lot of work to whatever. And they're full of seeds. So one fruit will give you as many seeds as you would get when you buy a package of seeds. So really, if you just take the time to harvest one fruit, you have enough for next year, and that's fine. And I took the time to seed all of them. So I had in here,
a lot of work.
I used one package of this, one package of this, and a row Swiss chard that I have. And so what I did is I put my leaf out, and when I make Swiss chard rolls, I cut out the stem up to about, I don't know, it depends how big the leaf is, but when it gets so that it's easier to roll, because you don't cook them ahead of time, you don't cook the leaves. That's why making Swiss chard rolls is so much better than making cabbage rolls. Cabbage rolls is much more work. So
now we're going to see how they taste comparably, right?
I've already eaten Swiss chard rolls and I love them. I prefer Swiss chard rolls to cabbage rolls.
Yeah.
And Swiss chard, I can understand why people wouldn't make Swiss chard rolls, because if you go to the store, Swiss chard is more expensive to buy than cabbage. But if you're growing Swiss chard yourself, I prefer growing Swiss chard to cabbage, and I think most gardeners do. With cabbage, you're either going to have to use a floating row cover or pesticides, because the cabbage moths will find you. But with Swiss chard, you don't have to. You just end up with a great crop of Swiss chard, and you can, anyway. So, and it looks more beautiful. Like you could see the red veins in some of the leaves, and some of them have orange. You know, if you get the bright light Swiss chard, you get a nice selection of different colors in the, anyway, they're beautiful. But there's a lot of different Swiss chard that are beautiful. Anyway, and they're not hard to grow. They basically grow themselves. I had them, I set down a row, and then I thought, oh, it doesn't look like my greens are coming up. And so I planted it, the whole green area full of tomatoes. The Swiss chard was still doing fine. Under the tomatoes, it was growing somehow and got to be big.
Like a volunteer crop.
It's awesome.
Very impressive, very healthy looking.
Yeah. So, and you can even be harvesting it now. It can take a little, you know, if the temperatures dip down a little bit, it's fine. It's happy to keep growing. So, it is terrific. But I have not tried doing this to making Swiss chard rolls before. Because I just had in one of those instant packages of rice and had the lentil and oat soup mix, and I thought, I bet that'll taste good. And so I had the container. It was like one of those big yogurt containers full of the solanum, golden pearls, and then I seeded them, and there's still a lot of seeds in them because they're basically all seed inside a skin. So, and I strained the juice, so then I'm putting the juice in there with the tomato juice that I strained from collecting tomato seeds to give to people. So, from our victory garden, from our tomato crop. So, I will be covering that and a little bit more with tomato juice. And then I've put it in the slow cooker. And you may wonder, well, why did she put the plate on top? Well, normally I have never tried making Swiss chard rolls in the slow cooker before. I've only made them in like a pot on the stove, or in the rice cooker. It works great too. And you just put a plate on top that's a heat proof, and you know, plate or whatever, but a plate works really well. You can see this one fits the pot pretty much perfectly. And I'm going to put more weight actually on top than that. It holds the Swiss chard tight in there. So whether you're making, actually figured this out because I used to make domatis a lot, and I thought, man, you know, grape leaves are really boring. They don't taste particularly healthy or even really tasty. They taste like the brine that they're soaked in.
The other thing is the texture.
And they're not a good texture.
They're really rough.
Yeah.
That's what bothers me.
Yeah. So then I thought, years ago when I was making Swiss chard, growing Swiss chard, I thought, I bet you I could make Swiss chard rolls instead of cabbage rolls. And so that's when I started doing it. And you can do it in the, anyway, so making domatis, rolling it up, you stick it in tight like that into the pot. And you don't put any moisture in the rice or anything like that. You just mix it up. And like with domatis, it's the dill and stuff, right? So, but anyway, you pack them into your pot, and then you stick something heavy on top like the plate, and then the fluid, and then you cook, and that's that. And then so I thought, well, I'll just make this like the Swiss chard rolls, or like the domatis. I'll make Swiss chard rolls like domatis, only not with like you could put with dill and stuff, but I like the flavor idea of the cabbage rolls more, and so that's what I did. And so I made them more like my grandma's cabbage rolls used to be, with the filling inside at first, but this time like this, and we'll see how this goes. So I haven't cooked it yet, so James didn't get to eat it today, but I will. And so this will go back into the fridge. I'm not worried about it getting too warm out here while we're eating, because it's not a warm day.
It's cool.
So anyway, I have a lot of stuff to review here, you see, and now I've just been blabbing and blabbing about cooking stuff. So yeah, I mixed the rice in this with the Solanum Golden Pearls. That's what I did, and they really weren't very moist when I got done getting the seeds out and the juice and everything. So, and they weren't that big container anymore. They were only about a cup. So, so that's what I put inside there. And we'll see how it goes tomorrow. I guess you'll see how it ended up working out.
Yeah, I'll taste how it goes.
Yes. So, I don't know. Oh, this is so heavy. But it's not heavy reading. It's very easy reading. So, I had already reviewed the Everywhere's Anywhere, Is Anything Is Everything, and it's an art book, so there's lots of pictures in it and stuff. And then when I read these, all three of these came from the Pincher Creek Municipal Library. So thank you, Pincher Creek, for lending us your books. And I thought, when I read this, I thought, this is really his art project. This is, this is for lazy people that can't read. It's like the illustrations for this, But this is the art project. I really enjoyed reading this. So I gave this one, I think, 3 stars out of 5, and I gave this one 4.5. This one, I would say, a very good read. And honestly, if you can get a hold of both of these together, like I said, there's like illustrations for this. So, and plus it's a lovely book. It's just, it just doesn't compare to this. This is, as far as mediums for his art, the word is what Coupland is really skilled at using. It's his best medium. So, anyway, I suspect you want to read it, James. So I can't do a very thorough review of it because
I'll have, I guess, more to say. And
yeah.
Then you can compare and contrast.
Yeah, but the funniest part in this book, the part that I enjoyed the most, I laughed and laughed, was the story that he told where about the green grape with the umbilical cord. So funny. I loved hearing that story, or reading it. Anyway, Generation A. So I had already read this book before. And James, when was your cancer?
Still now, but
yeah. Well, when
it was acute. Between let's say the beginning of December. Well, the end of November 2010, and
okay, so
they
that's what
diagnosed
happened.
it in the middle of
So this happened to be the last Coupland book that I read. So I had seen his art in a magazine. There was a magazine that featured some of his art in between then and now. But so that's what would have happened. James' cancer was a game changer. It changed everything. And I guess I was reading this, and it's not his strongest book. And
is there one about plastic surgery? It's not this one.
No.
That's the last Coupland, and you read that one in that stage.
Like there was a bunch of books I was trying. when I get stressed out, like most people, I like to use something to take my mind off the stress, like put my mind focus on something else. And so I was trying to read and read and read, you know, as well as work and work and work, and this did not help. This didn't take my mind. It just seemed like James was saying the same thing about he was watching sports in the hospital, and he just thought it was just so unimportant or something like that. Like
well, it was complicated by the fact my back was in bad shape. I'd watch, this was like in the summertime, and they were thumping each other and stuff like that. My back, but I did not be in a wheelchair. But that was in 2015 or sometime. I was getting the treatment. You know. I don't think I watched. Did we have any TV in when I was the summertime when they tried to save my life?
No, I think I was just reading. Yeah. Anyway, so, and then I found a better thing actually was going through the great courses. So if you're really stressed out and you need to put your mind somewhere else, bro, there's lots of great courses available.
Please get them, folks.
And
if you,
it's terrific. It's a terrific way to divert your focus.
Don't waste your time with computer games and I guess, do you do Netflix, or do people do Netflix to do the equivalent of MTV, you know, like see videos and stuff? I don't know. Yeah, just don't waste your time with that sort of stuff. Anyway.
So, one thing I'll say is I was disappointed that some of the short, like the little short stories that the people are telling each other in this, they found their way into this one. So then...
Duplication.
Yeah, I didn't... Yeah. That really put me off. But I would prefer to read Bit Rot than this. So, anyway, but it would have been stronger without these stories in it anyway. I don't know. I didn't care for this. And it could be that maybe there's some of the feelings that I had when I was reading this that are still being applied to it today, because I just finished this for the second time now today, and I didn't care for it still. Now, one of the problems with this book is there are a few characters, like, well, really it's, well, I suppose 6, it's told from the perspective of primarily from 5 different characters. And one thing, it was difficult for me to really think of these characters as being where they were supposed to be from some of the time, and it didn't seem like they maybe spoke the way that they, or, you know, thought the way that they should, or something like that, right? So, but he was trying, and plus it's hard to keep them straight. So because their language isn't really very different from each other a lot of the time, it's hard to keep the different characters straight. And so you look at the name at the top of the page and you're like, okay, which one is Samantha again, or which one is, and you have to try to think things through, and try to piece it together each time. You know, you start a new, well, chapter, I guess, but with a new person telling some of their story. So that made it less fun to read, because really I don't want to think that much when I'm reading Coupland. It's I want to believe that I am thinking without having to do so. It's a kind of escapism. And so, especially when it's not worth thinking about, which this is really, it doesn't help. So, the story really isn't very believable. I don't think he has, I don't think science is really a strong point for him. So writing something that's
sciencey,
a little bit that way, it doesn't really work.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I can
part
see
of
it. You know, someone
And-
raised on art, you know, academic art or something.
Yeah. I mean, when I read through Bit Rot, I was just flying through. It was very easy for me to get through, very well written, and fun in like dystopian sort of kind of way or whatever.
That's
But
what Coupland is.
Yeah, but I like
Get used to
it.
because you know, like, I don't know if he really bothers about making his stuff realistic. The dystopia is realistic. You know, life is way more dystopian 15 years down the road since the last time I read some of the stuff. If someone told me it would get this bad this quickly, I wouldn't have believed them. You know, Donald Trump, Bernie Sanders, Vladimir Putin, Pierre Petit-Poilievre, Danielle Smith, all these stupid scumbags. And the
But-
stock market is going crazy, upwards.
Oh, weird.
It went hugely upwards during Trump's first administration.
Yeah.
It went up strongly under Biden, but guess who was better at performing the economy? Way better, because he didn't have a recession. Biden. The economy grew like gangbusters. But, you know, like, when the stock market goes up more than the economy does, that's a bubble economy, the stock market.
Yeah.
And what does that lead to?
A crash. So
Wow, yeah. So
Anyway.
you stock market investors out there that are rip-roaring, I mean, it's records. You guys are going to pay. And unfortunately, everyone else in the world will pay too when you have a big crash.
So, like I said, I'd highly recommend this one. It's a very good read, and there's some things that I like. I don't like the way he says, like, at the ends of his books, he's a novel writer, sculptor, this and that and whatever, and just, I don't know. But I guess he does those things. But like, there was one story in here where he wrote a pilot script, George Washington's Extreme Makeover.
So
and,
pilot for TV.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, it was a script for a movie idea he had, or whatever,
okay.
I guess.
Yeah.
Because, anyway, I liked reading George Washington's Extreme Makeover
It
that
even
came
has some
before
teeth
it.
there.
And then I thought, I was kind of like, oh, maybe that would be an interesting idea. And then the script is there, and I'm like, I just frustrated trying to get through the pages of this thing because it's going on and on and on.
And scripts should be pretty easy to read because there's a lot of white space in the script.
Yes, I know.
Oh, okay.
But I quickly realized, no, this should not be a movie. This is really boring. And so that was my least favorite part of the book. So my
I gather
favorite
that
was
never
the
made into a movie.
grape
then.
with the umbilical cord. And my least favorite was this plot script. It was
George Washington's Extreme Makeover.
so bad.
You might want to check and see how much time is left.
Oh.
Because, if any, we've been...
Oh, because I've been talking so much. Yeah, there's 4.5 minutes left.
So that'll give you
So-
somewhat of an impression. I think the best thing to do is finish up with Coupland. I don't think we can...
Oh,
That's like a minute for each one of these.
well,
No, we
I'll
already
talk
reviewed
about
Sarah
Coupland.
McLachlan.
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
talk about Coupland later when you read them. So it
Okay,
doesn't
there
matter.
we go. Yeah, we're not going to exhaust the subject anyway.
No.
So, yeah.
Like I do. James was, when we were listening to a Stephen King audiobook one time, James was saying, well, it's like he has a popular culture in Rolodex or something, and he just goes, "Oh, so many word count now. I have to throw in another one from the Rolodex or whatever." And
So
James
you,
thought that's
popular
genius,
culture.
right? He liked the way that Stephen King thought of that, to just chuck that in, and
Trying to make
Coupland
himself
does too,
relevant.
but he's better. He's better at doing that. So
Now he's younger,
anyway.
so that makes a difference.
I suppose he probably is. Anyway, Bon Jovi, the Crush Tour. I'm not a Bon Jovi fan. I don't
Me
know
neither.
yet. James isn't either. Yet, so I put this on hold because I was expecting to go have him watch these music things while we were on the way to hiking.
And you'd have to be concentrating on not having deer run into you.
And anyway,
on the road.
So it just so happens that stuff is coming in now and we're not driving to hiking anymore. So now we're watching this here. But you know what? We both sat down, and I was while we watched this and this, I seeded the golden pearls for the Swiss Chard Rolls.
So
and it took that long for me to seed them.
We were entertained,
Such a
and then
pain.
Pauline was being
Those
very
things.
productive at the same time.
And,
Getting entertained.
but I'll be able to give the seeds to lots of people, and I'm thankful for that. So, Bon Jovi, the Crush Tour. This was very entertaining. Very, very entertaining. And while it was going on, I was like, hey, those lyrics are actually written pretty well. And I was surprised
Fairly good with,
because
parallelism, yeah.
yeah, because there's, I mean, some things in here. Wanted Dead or Alive, on a steel horse I ride. Oh my gosh, you cannot use inversion like that. There's one point
There's worse inversion. That's just inversion of prepositional phrases.
Yeah, there's
We
one
usually
point
say-
in Coupland's Generation A where he says pretty much he's talking about Finnegan's Wake, and then he's talking about the English language, how you can mix it up all sorts of ways, and you can still understand it. And it's like, nope, don't do that.
He's talking about inversion along with other things. and
well,
it doesn't work that
you'll
way.
see. So, anyway, we'll get back to that later because I'm sure James will have a few things to say about that.
Yeah.
But this was very entertaining. And the people, they were playing for 80,000 people that night. They got their money's worth. Wow, what a show. And
Yeah,
I'm not a fan, but what a show.
Schweiz
And
or Switzerland.
so I'm saying
yeah.
not all the lyrics are well written, but I am going to look into their lyrics now because enough were.
Not profound, but
whatever,
it's
it worked.
professionally written. I think it's put together by John Bon Jovi. But
And the guitar player, wow, he was
Richie
smoking.
Sambora. I'm telling you, there was one of their newer compositions. It's something like Just Older. I think it's about growing older, but not surrendering. And then the lyrics cut out, and Richie Sambora cut in with guitar solo, and I was moved. And Richie, buddy, you know how to rock better than Eddie Van Halen. Why? Eddie Van Halen's awesome technique, but he did way too much tapping. Tapping is wimpy.
I'm going to have to save these for later.
Yeah, exactly right.
But even though I prefer listening to Sarah McLachlan's music, I don't like listening to Bon Jovi at all. But I still preferred that concert was awesome. So
It was. No, I was impressed with the Sarah McLachlan
I
video,
was too.
and
Yeah.
frankly, because of the way she dressed